Hey friends, David Walls here, Executive Director of the Family Foundation. Have a urgent and important update to share with you as we're in the final days of the 2024 General Assembly. In fact, just a few legislative days remain before the governor's veto period starts next week on Friday, actually on Good Friday. Um, but before I share some updates on some of the key bills that still need to be voted on, I'm just so thankful for our supporters, so thankful for you, for all of those that have engaged, that have taken action, that join us in prayer, that read our Let Us Praise, that support us financially. We could not do the work that the Family Foundation has been called to do, to stand for Kentucky families and the biblical values that make them strong, without your support and engagement. So thankful for the tens of thousands of messages that have been sent to legislators. And, excited that important bills have already gotten across the finish line, including House Bill 2, the proposed amendment to the Kentucky Constitution in support of educational freedom that voters will have the final say on this November. But I also just want to take a moment and encourage all of us to be in prayer. In 1 Timothy 2, verse 1 through 2, we're reminded that we're to be praying for those in authority. And so we want to be praying for our legislators, really shepherds that God has placed in these positions of authority in government. And encourage you to be praying for your House member, for your Senate member, and to be praying for leadership in both chambers. Our good friends at the Kentucky Prayer Caucus are actually hosting their annual call to prayer event tomorrow at the Kentucky Capitol in the Rotunda from 12:30 to 1:30. Encourage you to join us in prayer at the Capitol if you can, but if not, please be in prayer. As I said, look, be in prayer for leadership in both chambers, both in the Senate and in the House. Those that are in positions of leadership in both chambers have a really high responsibility and really set the agenda for the bills that are going to be heard or have an opportunity to be voted on, especially in these last few days of this session. So we want to be in prayer for them. And so I'm just going to remind folks, those that are in leadership, President Stivers, Senator Stivers, who's president of the Senate, Senator David Givens, Senator Damon Thayer, Senator Julie Rocky Adams, and Senator Mike Wilson in the Senate. In the Kentucky House, House Speaker David Osborne, Representative David Meade, Representative Stephen Rudy, Representative Susan Miles, and Representative Jason Nemes. Please be in prayer specifically for those members of leadership in positions of authority in both chambers. But as we sit here today with just a few legislative days, as I've said, wanted to alert you to the fact that there are really three important bills in both the House and in the Senate that need votes. And we have recently updated two action pages on our website, one for the House where you can take action together on all three of these bills, and one in the Senate to do the same thing. But I just want to walk through these important bills briefly for you in this video. In the House, we have Senate Bill 147 by Senator Tishner. This is the important bill that would protect children from sexually explicit businesses and sexually explicit performances that unfortunately we've increasingly seen sometimes happen on public property. And so it would protect against that. I was excited to get to testify once again in favor of that bill this week in the House, in a committee in the House. That bill has passed out of the House committee now and is now eligible to be voted on by the full House. That bill has already passed the Senate, so if the House was to take that up and pass it, there's been a few changes that were made in the House committee. That bill would simply need to just pass the House and then go back to the Senate to be concurred. So that's an important bill that can get across the finish line this session to provide protections for kids across the state. Another important bill is House Bill 47 by Representative Rawlings. That's the bill that would update and strengthen Kentucky's existing Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Look, we recognize that religious freedom is our first freedom. Our founders recognized it in the First Amendment of the Constitution, and Kentucky has a huge opportunity this session to add some clarity to our law and some further protections to ensure that every Kentuckian has their most foundational freedom protected. That bill has passed out of committee in the House and has been on the House orders of the day, meaning it's been eligible, it's been on the list of bills eligible to be voted on the House since March 12th. But that bill has not been taken up by the House yet. And again, as I said, the leadership in those chambers many times are the ones making those decisions about which bills are going to be voted on. So we really need you to be encouraging your House member and House leadership to have a vote on House Bill 47. Similarly, House Bill 346, the Baby Olivia Act that you've heard us communicate a lot about. Hopefully you've had a chance to watch that video, but this important pro-life bill would simply just require that schools through a video teach the beautiful development of a preborn child in the womb. That bill, House 346, has been on the House orders of the day, eligible for passage, as I said, actually since March 11th, but once again has repeatedly not been taken up for a vote in the House. So we encourage you to be in contact with your House member and House leadership to have that bill voted on, so that there's a chance for both that bill and House Bill 47 to be taken up in the Senate, where they would still need to go through the full process. Moving over to the Senate, 3 important bills that are in the Senate right now that have an opportunity to move and be passed. One of those is Senate Bill 239 by Senator Douglas. This is known as the Healthcare Heroes Recruitment and Retention Act. And this is an important bill that we have been supportive of for many sessions, that would simply protect the rights of conscience for our medical care workers, for doctors and others. Really a very important piece of legislation. That bill passed out of committee in the Senate last week, and so now it can be voted on by the Senate. But again, that bill would have to go through the House after passing the Senate as well. So that's an important bill. The second bill I want to draw your attention to is Senate Bill 6, and we're really supporting the enhanced version of Senate Bill 6. This is an important bill that would seek to ban and defund discriminatory DEI policies that we're increasingly seeing at our public universities. You know, these DEI policies many times are discriminatory. Sometimes they're blatantly illegal in the way that they're implemented, and they harm students, they harm faculty, and they can promote radical agendas and ideologies. And so that bill, Senate Bill 6, is by Senator Mike Wilson. It had passed the Senate. When it got over to the House last week, the House in committee essentially enhanced the bill with language from House Bill 9 by Representative Jennifer Decker that really strengthened that bill to make sure that these harmful DEI policies would be banned and defunded. And so the House passed that bill, the enhanced version of Senate Bill 6, on Friday of last week, in what was really a marathon debate on the House floor. And so thankful for the leadership of Representative Decker. She did such a great job laying out the case and answering questions on that bill on Friday. But now that bill is out of the House, and so the Senate could simply just choose to concur on the changes that the House has made, and then that bill would essentially be on its way to the governor, and that's what we think would be the strongest thing to do, the strongest protections in terms of how this bill has been enhanced. So that's an important bill. And then thirdly, we are supporting a strengthened version of House Bill 463, which is a important issue, wanting to see protections, social media protections for kids online. That bill passed the House, was authored by Representative Dietz. But we really feel, as many others do, that there's an opportunity to expand the protections in that bill. One way they can expand the protections is to include protections to protect kids from exposure to porn websites. We've seen a number of states do this. And in fact, this has led to, including just recently in the last few days in Texas, to major porn websites shutting down access in states because these important laws protecting kids have been put in place. So we think it's important to expand the protections online for kids to include pornographic websites. And then we also further think that the social media protections need to be strengthened to ensure that there's proper age verification, and would like to see parental consent protected, so that parents have to be the ones signing off on their children creating these social media accounts. So that's an important bill, has an opportunity to be strengthened in the Senate, and that's House Bill 463. So those are three important bills that are up for debate and could be voted on in the House, three important bills that could be moved in the Senate. And like I said, if you go to our website at KentuckyFamily.org, you can see our updated alerts, one on the House bills, one on the Senate side, the bills that could be considered in the Senate. Encourage you to take action on both of those, even if you've already taken action previously on some of those bills. We really can make a difference in these last few days of the General Assembly. And in addition to taking a message on our Action Center and sending an email message through our Action Center, we encourage you to be contacting and calling the legislative message line at 1-800-372-7181. You can they'll connect you, tell you who your House and Senate member are, and then you have an opportunity to leave a message in support of these bills, and you can ask for those messages to be passed along to the House and Senate leadership as well. So encourage you to do that. But again, so thankful for your engagement with us. Take a moment, share this video and our alerts with your friends, your family, your church. We can all do our part right now to be the salt and light that the Lord has called us to be, as we seek to continue to advocate for God-honoring policy here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.